Okay. Hi. Somebody wanted to hear about what Booking.com would say about refactoring. So, I'm working at Booking.com, by the way, and I'm going to tell a bit about the dangers of refactoring. It's not like a trolling, it's like the other side, the dark side of refactoring. Actually, I do love refactoring, but well, everything must have some limits. Well, my name is Andrei. My surname is too long, so I will not pronounce it here. And I had a terrible night. I read something about midnight, so I feel very sleepy. So if you hear me snoring or telling some bullshit, just wake me up. Okay, I will just repeat something that Garo already said, and I will try to keep it understandable for everybody. So refactoring, I took this quote from the wiki. Refactoring is a disciplined technique for restructuring an existing body of code, altering its internal structure without changing its external behavior. So I wanted to understand that. I think it also from Russian Wikipedia and from Ukrainian. So some main bullet points. Restructuring an existing body of code, non-functional, and without changing an external behavior. So look at the pictures. Both data centers behave the same, but the picture below looks much nicer. Developers do love refactoring because refactoring makes their life happy and easy and bright, and it creates an illusion of hard-working brains, and it does nothing for users. So they don't see what you do, and this makes them sad. When developers say we want to refactor, they mean we are going to repair, but usually they are going to break something, break and rebuild. Why refactoring is a dirty word? Because writing code is much easier than reading code, especially if it's not your code. If it's your code, well, you probably know it. You know what you meant, well, unless you wrote this code 10 years ago. And very often, refactoring means rewriting. But you know, understanding code, you must read it. And if you don't understand it, you probably cannot rewrite it. Well, you can rewrite it, but you cannot rewrite it correctly. And the wall itself is quite a messy place. You cannot refactor the wall. And probably the code which looks ugly, it looks ugly because it has to deal with ugly world, ugly parts of the world. So refactoring may go wrong because people don't read code, they don't understand code, and they try to rewrite code. And you know what is YAPC? It's abbreviation by if orton. It means you ain't gonna need it. So you can break something. Already Gabor said about this. And if you work not with your code, so maintainer cannot understand your changes. And if you work in a big team, you can annoy your colleagues. And there are many reasons for this. And the last 5 slides I took from presentation of Yves Orton. He made this presentation on 80day at Booking.com in December last year. And I'm very thankful to him for this. But all I said before, this is what business says. But developers do not care about business most of the time. Well, while they are paid, they don't care about business. And business wants results, and they love to see graphs like this. But developers, they are creative people. They have some creative nature, and they prefer to see beauty, and they love to see graphs like this. Code WTF. Everybody knows this picture. The only true measurement of code quality. I asked people many times, what does code quality mean? In my experience, good code does not mean good application. Never, ever. Well, bad code means bad application, yes. Good code doesn't mean good application. So in my experience, I would change this picture a bit, and I would do it this way. Good developers and developers who are still learning. Because good developers read code. So, WTF. In my presentation, WTF means we will watch, think, and figure out. And I thank Philippe Ruha for this acronym. I love it. So, what usual developers do when they try to, when they want to refactor, they are going to be rid of some code evil, some stereotypes that they think they need to get rid of, like map in void context. Many people think it's bad. Some people think it's good, but we don't know if we don't check. Some people think that using goto is bad practice. Some people think that all repeating code should be extracted to the function. Some people, most of the people, people who love object-oriented programming, they prefer to use accessors instead of accessing properties themselves. On database side, not using foreign keys is probably bad practice. And some people think that if you can do something on database side, do it there. Don't do it in protocol. But if you ask why, the answers are usually like this. It looks ugly. Look at my Emacs config. It's much uglier. It's hard to read. That's what we said. Reading code is really hard. It's a bad practice. But there is a theory. If you see a bad practice, there is always a practice which is much worse. It will bring benefits in the future. Actually, I like that Gabor's term of the future. One day, it's a good term. If it brings benefit in one day, it's a really good term. But if it will bring benefit in half of a year, who knows, maybe in half of a year we will not do this code anymore. So we cannot test it, actually. There is another way to do it. Actually, this is why we use Pro, because there is more than one way to do it. And it sucks off. I don't like it. It's like an ammo coder's motto. Well, it cannot be a reason for refactoring. But let's check performance. How about performance of the code? And let's start with map in void context. One day I found a commit when somebody replaced for loop with map. I was really surprised because I thought that map in void context is a bad practice. And I asked why, and the person answered because it's faster. And they wanted to check whether it's faster or not. In that code, that code must be faster, a bit faster, at least a bit faster. And there was no actually bottleneck. There was just a big amount of data we have to deal with, and we try to make it faster in many different places somehow. And that was one of the changes we made. So I wrote this small step, small test, not test, a benchmark. Maybe tomorrow we'll have a presentation about why my benchmarking sucks. I saw it in a program. So what I do, I'm trying to replace all occurrences of 1 in numbers from 1 to 100 with letter A. So all these functions do the same. We have 4 maps and 7 forms. And as you can see, we have just regex call and some function calls, which is defined a bit above. And what do you think? Which one of this is the fastest one?
Maybe they're equal.
Pardon?
Maybe they're equal.
No.
First one.
Yeah, you did the first one. Not that much faster. The slowest one at the top. The fastest at the bottom. And actually, if you see that 4.2 and 4.1 and 4.2 and map are very close in performance. And I tested them and I benchmarked them separately. And here are results. So map was 3% faster than 4. But it's not just map, it's map with regex call. Because all other maps are quite slow. So map in void context is faster. Just a bit, and not always. Here are everything that I tested in ascending order, and I want you to look at these two and these two. As you can see, that using do makes your code slower. And have a look at these two and these two. If you use map with block, it's also slower. And have a look at all these loops. They have function call. Function call is very expensive in terms of performance. If you have very big amount of data and you have to go through all this data and you use functions that can slow your code down. In actually map with regex and map with function call is almost twice slower. And have a look at this one. We have here function call and the reference. This is the slowest one. So actually the referencing is also something that slows your code down. Okay, another thing. Repeating code. Some people think that repeating code is evil. Look at this code. Can you see it? We have some query, and then maybe it's sorted somehow, and we need to do something with TMP and all rows we have. And the problem with this code is that for the last bunch of records, this do something with TMP and at rows is not performed. So it must be done here after the loop. And what people usually do, they just create a function. And, well, it looks logical, right? You create a function and you call it into places. But if you remember that function call can be expensive, and you have to run this code very often in very high loaded environment, it's probably good practice not extracting this code into a separate function just to keep it there. So repeating code can be useful if you remember that function method call is expensive. Properties instead of accessories. Sometimes, well, we have a very high load on our website, and we also use some framework, like most of the web frameworks. They have a stash, and usually stash can be filled with properties that were like this. But as I said, we have very high load website, and we try to we try to make it faster on wherever we can. So we usually do this way. Well, some paranoids even do this way. Goat. Some people think that Goat is evil. I have Debian installed on my laptop, and I have just pure Perl which goes with Debian. I don't program on my laptop. I go to SSH to some other machines, and I ran this. I checked how many gotos we have in a standard Perl. So we have 39 gotos. But fortunately, most of those use goto to some method. You probably know it behaves a bit different. And actually, if somebody asks you whether goto is evil, yes, goto is evil. So, do on Perl side what the backend do, database can do. A long time ago, I wrote one script which prepared a report. At the beginning, you give to the script a period, and then it should give you some revenue per day, something like this. I don't really remember what that's about, but what I did, I split this period into days, and then I run the query for each day and put results to hash for each day. And then somebody looked at my code and found it's stupid and too long, and what they did, they got rid of my days breakdown, they changed query a bit, they added this group by, and they ran it into one line without a loop. And it was a bit shorter, and most of the hard work went to the database. And actually, what he did, he changed the query. In the most cases, Perl code is not a bottleneck. In the most cases, but in this case, this is one of those cases, and actually, we have really huge amount of data, and this query with grouping was 10 times slower than running this query several times, because the amount of data was really huge and database went swapping. And I made this mistake before, and that's why I wrote it that way, but I forgot to, well, not forgot, I was too lazy to put a comment there, and the person who found my code bad didn't know that, and he made the same mistake. So my point is, I don't tell you do not refactor. I tell you do not refactor just because you can. There are so many things, there are so many new things that you can do. So maybe spend your time on doing something new. And if you read somebody's code, please read it carefully, because the person who wrote this code, he's not an idiot. He can write code. So just try to think the way he thinks before breaking stuff he did. So thank you, and thank you. Вопросы есть какие-нибудь?
Тишина, наверное.
Нет. Ну я положу.
Смотря что. Никуда. Сейчас есть вопрос.
I personally disagree about that copying code is good, or at least not bad. There have been a lot of controversy about Booking.com on exactly that point, and well, a lot of developers have been fighting over and programmers being fired exactly for trying to, well, doing stuff that doesn't align with business practices in Booking.com. So can you, well, actually you didn't persuade me on on copying code. So possibly, do you have a personal standard that, or well, tell something that would be more interesting to hear?
About repeating code?
Well, yes, because well, I mean, it's just unclear.
Well, in my example about repeating code, there was really big amount, huge amount of data, and there was really no bottleneck. There was nothing that we can just make better. So we try to avoid any losing performance in any places. So yeah,
It's performance.
yeah, that was performance reason.
And the indexes didn't help?
Indexes, there was no only indexes.
Why?
Question is it.
Hello. Could we now see a fight between you and Gabel?
Pardon?
Fight between you and Gabel on this issue?
Oh, we are not fighting. I think we are just we just
Okay, I have a question.
we're just talking about the same thing from different points of view.
So you pointed out dangers with refactoring. Do you have an example where you did some refactoring, preferably within Booking, that you think it was worse?
Can you repeat it?
Whether you pointed out dangers of refactoring, but you also said that you like refactoring and you don't say not to do that. So I was wondering if you have examples where you did refactoring that you think was worth it, was good, and especially if that's something within Booking.
Well, actually now I'm working on system, and what we are doing at the moment, we do refactor. Well, maybe after the conference we can talk about it, and I will explain it.
Well, I have not a question, but just a comment. I think that over-engineering is much more common trap than over-refactoring.
Well, I agree, and I have 50-50 comments. Some of them add code, some of them delete code. So yeah, sometimes people tend to do something that will probably be needed in the future. Okay, thank you very much.